In today's class, basically we'll do the mathematical functions associated with Excel. Okay, we'll do the mathematical functions. Sum. The first thing is sum. If you want to do a total of something, or if you want to add the cell values, okay, then what is the function you use? You use the function sum. So let's use this data set. Again, this data set which is shown on the screen is completely for my usage, and whatever data set has been shared with you is for your usage. Please do not ask me for this data set, as this is completely for trainer's purpose. Okay. So total number of items sold. You have to find the number of items sold over here, the total number of items, which will be done using the sum function. So how do you write formulas? You write equal to sum, equal to sum. And then how will you go? You will go and select each of these values? No, you select the entire range. How do you select the entire range? Control Shift down arrow key. How do you select? Control Shift down arrow key together. Once you select this, you see it comes as E2 to E25. Whenever there is a colon in between, that means this is an entire range which has been selected from row number 2 to row number 25. Okay. And if I close the bracket, I will get the result. That is the total number of items sold for this particular data set. Okay. This is how you pick your range. Control Shift, how to pick range? Control plus Shift plus down arrow key. Okay. This is how you pick your range. Now, tell me something. If I write like this, sum of, say, this entire thing, and I also want to add this value to this cell. Will this work? Will this work? Anybody? Yes, maybe. So this will work, obviously, because this is also a cell reference and this is also self-reference. And if you see the arguments, number 1, number 2, so these are all one number, all numbers together. And then we have put number 2 in argument 2. So yes, this will work. Okay, it will give me double of the answer. Or even if I write this comma 551, then also it will work. So all types of sum will work, whether it is hard-coded, whether it is cell reference, whether it's a range, everything will work inside a sum function. Okay. Next we come to average. Next we come to average. What is average? Basically total sum divided by total count, right? But we do not need to do double work because we have the average function over here. And how do you pick the formulas? You pick the formulas using the tab key on your keyboard. So I will write AVER, and from the list I can pick from the tab function, tab key on the keyboard. So average of the entire range again. Control Shift down arrow key and close bracket. And this will give me the average of the total number of items sold. Then we have the max function. Max gives the maximum of the number of items sold. Okay. Again, minimum range, minimum of the number of items sold. Okay. Now I have the second largest order. second largest order. So I need to find large. I will use the function large because maximum will give me the maximum. If I want the second largest, third largest, fifth largest, then what function I use? I use the large function where I can specify the array and I can specify the order I want. Okay, the order I want to retrieve. So the second largest order I will write 2. So this will give me the second largest order. So maximum was 34. Second largest order is 32. Okay. Similarly, for fourth smallest order, we have the function small. Okay. So small, comma, 4. This gives me the fourth smallest order. Okay. How many transactions were there? So how many means what? Count. In total, how many transactions are there? If this is one transaction, yes, sure, I'll repeat. The second largest order is when we want the second largest order, third largest order. So that means we use the large function equals to large. And then you select the range and K specifies, comma, K. If you see the argument, K specifies the order you want. Since you want the second largest order, you will write 2. Okay. So when I have maximum is 34, the second largest is 32. Okay, fourth smallest is 15. Then you have how many transactions were there. That means if this is one transaction, then how many such transactions you have in total? How do we find the transactions? We using the count function. Count function tells us the transactions. Okay. So now for count, I can use any of these. I can use any of these columns to get the count, right? I can use the name, I can use the item because all are equal in number. So I can use any of the columns. Let's say I take the item to get how many transactions are there. It gives me 0. Why? Because there are 3 types of count in Excel. Count, count A, and count blank. Okay. Count will count only numeric cells. Okay. It will count only numeric cell. It will not count any text cell or any other cell in your calculation. Count A counts all non-blank cells. Please note it counts all non-blank cells. It means it will count the text cells also, it will count the numeric cells also, but it will not count the blank cells. So it counts all the non-blank cells in your Excel. And count blank counts all the blank cells. It counts all the blank cells. Okay, let's create a very small list. I'll create a very small list over here. This is the list I have created. Okay. Okay, this is the list I have created. This entire list is there. Now I will show you that count will only count the numeric cells. If I do count of this entire range, okay, count of this entire range, it will give me 5 because it will count only the numeric cells. Count A will count all the non-blank cells. That means the answer should come to 10 because there are 5 alphabets and 5 numbers. It will count all the non-blank cells in my data. And count blank Count blank will count all the blanks in my list. Okay. Now, if I tell you that what is the total number of cells in my data, if I ask you what is the total number of cells in my data, how will you tell me? It is basically count A plus count blank. Total number of cells or total number of cells in the data is count A plus count blank. Will tell you the total length of the list. If I want the total length of the list, I will do this. 13 is the total length of the list, where I have the blank cells also and I have the non-blank cells also. Okay. Or if I want to tell you, if I want to get only the text cells of my data, if I want to tell you how many text cells are in the data, text, this is the total count, total length of the list. And if I tell you I want the total number of text cells in the data, then what do? You do count A, which is the non-blank cells, minus count, which is the numeric cells. So this will give me the total number of text cells in the data. Okay. So basically all the mathematical functions in Excel ignores the text cells and the blank cells, even sum, even average, even count. Okay. They will always ignore the text cells. They will work only on the number cells. Okay. So for all of this, I always use these. So if you see, for average, there is an average A. Okay. Then for some there's no sum A because it does not work. There's no sum of the arguments, non-numeric arguments. And then we have count A. So all these have a counterpart. So if I now want to count the number of transactions, how many transactions were there in the data, it will write count A. And then I can select any of the cells. I can select any text cell. Okay. If I were to use the numerical cell, I would have used count. Okay. Both will give me the same answer. Count A will work on any type of cell, numeric or non-numeric. Whereas count A will work on numeric or non-numeric. Whereas count will work only on the numeric cells. Okay. How many orders were there in Boston? Now, coming to conditional functions. So we have, till now we were doing the normal sum, count and average. Now, if I tell you that there's a condition, I want only the count of say a particular destination. I want only the count of a particular, I want the sum of only a particular item. So that means conditions are introduced. So then we come to conditional functions. So average A will work for cells with suppose in any, if you see it returns the average arithmetic means of argument evaluating text and false in argument. That means what? That if I take a list, suppose this is a list, okay, and there is a boolean, say true. If you know that true and false is a boolean, okay. So what does average does? Average A will do is, let's come to this. Average A, it will not take into consideration this blank cell, but see, it will take into consideration this true and false. I have got an average of 1.333. That means what? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. This becomes 3 plus 2, 5, 6, 10, 15. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Okay, if I was to get 15 divided by 5, I would have got a 3, but I am getting 1.333. How is this coming? This is coming as this true is taken as 1, so 16, and this fall is taken as 0. Okay, so 16 divided by 7. Again, see, it's coming to 2.286. Now, this text has been also evaluated. This text has also been evaluated. So let me see, 16 divided by 12. 7 plus 5, 12. See, I get 1.333. So basically, when dividing, it will consider all the cells, whether or not they are added in the totals or not. Okay, it will sum up and take all the cells of the list, all the non-blank cells of the list, whether or not they are numeric or not. Okay, is that clear? Yeah. So we were at conditional functions. Conditional functions are countif. So conditional functions are two: singular and plural. Okay, singular and plural. Singular are Sumif, Countif, Averageif, where we have only one criteria. Where we can specify only one criteria. Okay, for these three. Okay, whereas plural is Sumifs, Countifs, and Averageifs, where we can have multiple criteria. Okay, so for these, we'll have only one criteria, one condition, whereas for these, we can have multiple conditions in our argument. Okay, now let's come to this. Number, how many orders were there in Boston? Firstly, from how many we understand it's the count. Okay, so first, and this is there is a condition, we'll use, condition is Boston, so we'll use count if there's only one condition. Now, please see the arguments of these. The arguments is range and criteria. Okay, there are two arguments, range and criteria. Now, what does the range mean? What does range mean over here? Range means the set of cells in which you go and check the condition. The set of cells in which you go and check the condition. Okay, or the criteria. The way we will work with data is first find the base function, whether I am supposed to do a count, sum, average, or something else. And after finding the base function, we'll find the basic condition. Okay, and check how many conditions you have. And then you select whether it's the data, whether you have to select a singular function or you have to select a plural function. Okay, and it is very, very important to look at the arguments of the data. So here we have the range and then we have the criteria. Okay, we cannot remember all the functions at all times. Okay, so whenever you start working in Excel, think that the data set which you have is on a piece of paper, and how would have you gone about the data set when you had it on a piece of paper? Okay, so if I write Countif range, so first range, what did I tell you about the range? Range is a set of cells in which you go and check the criteria. So what is first, identify the criteria in the question. The criteria is Boston. Now you think that when this data would be on a paper, when this data would be on a piece of paper, on which cells would you have gone and found out Boston? You would have gone to the destination column and found out Boston and started counting. Okay, Boston is 1, twice, thrice, and so on. So here also you will do the same thing. How many orders were there in Boston? You will first select, since there's one condition Countif, you will go to this destination column and then you will write Boston in double quotes. In double quotes. Why do you write a text in quotes? Because normal text in Excel will not be identified. Okay? Any text after equals to is only the defined formulas which do not have to be in quotes. Otherwise, it will all has to be in quotes. Otherwise, it will give you a name error. Okay? So this has to be in quotes, Boston and close bracket. So there are 4 orders which were there to Boston. Okay? And you can count 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if this was on a piece of paper, you would have counted like this. Excel did it in one go from one function. Okay? Clear till here, everybody? Next, number of orders in Boston after 3rd February 2013. How many conditions? How many conditions do we have here? Two conditions. So since we have 2 conditions, we'll use count ifs. We'll use count ifs. Okay. Now count if C criteria range 1, criteria 1. So first we have to give the range for the first criteria. Then we have to give the range for the second criteria and then the criteria. Okay. So number of orders in Boston. So first criteria is Boston. So select this and Boston. And second criteria is date. So second range will be date range, and the date is after 3rd February 2013. So greater than, this also has to be in quotes. Okay. Any text written in Excel has to be in quotes, whether it is a special character, whether it is alphanumeric, whether it is a pure text. It is Excel which understands only numbers and text. Okay. So here when we give greater than, and then you have to specify the date. So make sure the date is written in the format, in this format in which your system has. Okay. If your system has an MMDDYY format, you will write an MMDDYY format inside your formula. If your system has a DDMMYY format, you will write in the DDMMYY format. If your system has a DD/MM/YYY format, you will use slashes inside your formula. Currently, my format is DD-MM-YYYY. So I will use that format. It should be 0302-2013. Okay. That's what is said in the question, 3rd February 2013. And I'll close the inverted comma and close the brackets. So that is G2 to G5 is Boston. Destination, first criteria range is destination, whose criteria is Boston. Second, the second criteria range is date. And the date has to be after 3rd February 2013. And date has to be written in the format of the system. There are 2 orders which were after 3rd February 2013 to Boston. Clear to everybody? Next, sum of the refrigerator items. Sum of refrigerator items. How many conditions? One condition. So we'll use sum if. Okay, we'll use sum if. Now, see, sum if the arguments are range, criteria, and sum range. So first is range, then it is criteria, and then is the sum range. So range is again the same, the set of cells in which you go and check the criteria. Criteria you know is refrigerator, and then you come the sum range. Okay, so sum, if first range I will select is item which is refrigerator. So range is this. In quotes, I will write refrigerator. And then I need sum range. What do I mean by sum range? Sum range is the range on which you have to do the addition. So if I tell you, find the total number of items of refrigerator, what will you do? You will go in the copy, you will take out all the refrigerator items and you will find out the corresponding number to it and add those numbers. Correct? So here also I will go to the number column and select those numbers. So these are the number of items. I will select the total item. What will Excel do is Excel will only do the sum of the ones where it finds the refrigerator. Okay, this is what you call sum range. Okay, sum range is the set of cells on which you go and apply the function. Okay. And it is very easy to follow any arguments in R, any function in R because in Excel, because you get to see all the arguments below. So range, then criteria, and then the sum range. Okay. Now you might be thinking that why is the sum range in brackets? Let's come to this. Sum of items where items is greater than 25. Sum of items where items is greater than 25. How many conditions? Again, one condition. So here, I will again use sum if. The range is what? Sum of the number of items. Criteria is in quotes, it should be greater than 25. Okay. And what is the sum range? What is the sum range? Anybody, what is the sum range? Exactly. It is same as the range. It is same as the number of items. So when I have the range and sum range to be same, I do not need to specify my sum range. So when my range and sum range is same, I can skip writing the sum range. It will give me the answer. Okay, when my range and sum range is same, I can skip writing the sum range. That is why it was given optional in the formula. That is why when it is written in square brackets in the arguments, if you see in the arguments, sum range is the only thing written in square brackets. That means it's optional at the places where range is equal to the sum range. Okay. Next, sum of microwaves. Sum range is the set of cells on which you go and apply the sum. So basically, if I tell you to find the sum of refrigerator items, number of refrigerator items, what will you go and do in your copy? You will find the number of refrigerator items and you will also find the corresponding numbers beside them, right? Very basic thing. If you have a list like fridge, TV, if you have a list like TV, geyser, refrigerator, and numbers written beside them, it says 13, 14, 15, and so on. If I tell you find refrigerator number of items, you will go to refrigerator and 15 together. Same here, when you give the range Excel will know that, okay, you have to get, your range is this, your criteria is refrigerator, but what you need to add, you need to tell Excel that what you need to add. So the addition part is the number of items column which you need to give to Excel. Is that clear? So basically, see, sum if the range is, since the criteria is refrigerator, I have selected the range as the item. Okay. Then condition is refrigerator. But I need to tell Excel, I need to find the sum of the total number of refrigerator items. If I just give the range and the criteria is refrigerator, how will Excel know which column to add, which numbers to add? So the sum range specifies the numbers to be added. If it's not clear, I'll repeat again. Okay. Sum of items where items is greater than 25. Then you have sum of microwaves transported to New York. How many conditions? Two conditions. So we will write sum if. Now see in sum ifs. Now you see sum ifs. Sum ifs, the argument becomes some range is in the beginning and it is compulsory. Because when you have multiple criteria ranges, Excel will get confused that which range will be needed to be added. So here the sum range is compulsory to be given. Okay. So sum range is the number of items. Criteria 1 is range 1 is this, and criteria 1 is microwave. Criteria range 2 is destination, and criteria 2 is New York. Okay, so total 25 microwaves are transported to New York. Okay. In some ifs, some ranges compulsory. Similarly, for average if works same as sum if, and average ifs work same as sum ifs. The average of items transported by truck 4. Since there is one condition, I will use average if. The range is transport. Criteria is truck 4. And average range is number of items. So 26 items, on an average 26 items was transported by truck 4. And last question is number of average of items transported to Pittsburgh by truck 4. So again, this is two conditions. So average ifs, average range will be number of items. Criteria range 1 will be this, which is truck 4. And criteria range 2 is destination, which is Pittsburgh. Okay. Now, I'm getting an error. Why am I getting an error? Can anybody tell me why am I getting an error? Because there were no items transported by truck. No, there's nothing such as the order of the criteria does not matter. There is no such truck 4 which is taking an item to Pittsburgh. So when in average the thing needs to be divided, there is nothing to be divided. That is why I'm getting a div 0 error. It's dividing by 0. There is no truck 4 which is going to Pittsburgh. Okay, that is why we are getting a div 0. So always it's not that you or I have made the error. It is that something is not present in the data altogether. Okay, is this clear to everybody? Now, all of you, please open this sheet from your folder. I'll just show you on the sheet you need to open. Open this sheet, Finatics assignment. Open this sheet, Finatics assignment from your drive. Finatics assignment. And do these highlighted questions. I'll just highlight others as well. 1, 2, 5, 8. Do these. As per said, let's start with this. Then what is the total sales? So sum of the sales column. Go to sales column, control shift down, and this is the sum of the sales column. What is the total profit for the month of March? So again, there's one criteria. So Sumif, range is month, criteria is March, and criteria range is profit. Okay, criteria range is profit. Then we have what is the average profit? So average of the profit column. Then you have what is the average profit for the product Walkman in July with sales greater than 700. So you have 3 conditions. So average ifs, average range is Average ifs, average range is profit, average criteria. First criteria is product Walkman. So product Walkman. Then you have month to be July. And then you have sales to be greater than 700. So profit, product, Walkman, month, July, and sales greater than 700. 115.5. What is the maximum sales? Maximum of sales column. Third largest sales amount, large sales, comma 3. Fifth smallest profit amount, small profit, comma 5. And total count for the transaction of May. So Countif, any column I take, month and May. Month, May. So 8 transactions. These are the answers. Eight is average profit for the product Walkman in July with sales greater than 700. So we use Averageif's function. Average range is profit. First criteria is Walkman, which is the product. So I select the product column. I write Walkman. Second criteria is month, which is July. I select the month column, comma July. Third criteria is sales should be greater than 700. So C2 to C6 and greater than 700. Please do not put any dollar sign. You just have to write greater than 700. Second one is total profit for the month of March. Again, Sumif profit, it is one criteria. So Sumif, so first criteria is range, then it is criteria, then is sum range. So range is the month, criteria is March, and sum range is profit. Ninth one is maximum sales, that is max of the sales column. And 12th one is the Countif B2, which is total count for transaction of May, is month, comma May. How many May transactions are there? Clear? Got it, everyone? Okay. Now, this business of what I was doing, that going to the column every time and selecting, every time going to the column and selecting, going to the table and selecting the columns, and every time for each and every question I had to do that. Is it easy? Or do you think it is time saving? No. Currently, we are in a very good scenario that we have only 4 columns and the data is very small. But this never happens in the industry. You have very big tables. You have tables with, say, 80-90 columns, 5,000 to 50,000 rows, and it's not possible to go back and forth with the formula, writing each and every formula and selecting the tables each and every time. Okay? It is very tedious to do so. So what is the way of reducing the work? We will name our columns. Okay? We can name the things in Excel. Okay? You can select the cells and you can go to the name box, type the name whichever you want and press enter. So suppose I want to name this cell. Say I write this as Harsh. Okay, and I want to name this cell. Currently, the cell name is F3. I want to name this as Harsh only. So every time I'm on this cell, it will show me Harsh. Other cells will show me F1, F2, F4, and so on. But the cell name of this will also become Harsh and the value will also become Harsh. Okay. So, and when I do a Control Z, obviously come back to F3. Now, what are the rules of naming? First, understand the rules of naming and then we'll understand how to name each column. Rules of naming. You just can't name each and everything. There should be no spaces in your name. There should be no spaces in your name. It should not start with numbers. It should not start with numbers. There should be no special characters. And the name should not be more than 255 characters. The name should not be more than 255 characters. Okay. Now, how to name the columns? It is, I can't go and select each and every column and name them. I will not do one by one. It is again a very tedious task. I have to go and select each and every column if it's an 80 column table. So what's the easy way to do this? The easy way to do this is select the entire table with the headers. Select the entire table with the headers. Go to the formula tab. Go to the formula tab. And inside the formula tab, there's something called create from selection. Inside the formula tab, there's something called create from selection. Okay. In the create from selection, when you click, you get this box. Create names from values in the top row in the left column. Uncheck left column. You only want it from the top row. Okay. You only want it from the top row and press OK. And press OK. Now you see everything is named automatically. When I select this column, this appears as product instead of entire range. When I select this column, it appears as month instead of entire range. Similarly, this appears as sale and this appears as profit. Okay. Again, showing how to do this. Select the entire table, go to the formula tab and click on create from selection. Uncheck left column, only select top row and press OK. Okay, you can see your names in the name manager. Month is from which cell to which cell. Month is from B2 to B106. Product is A2 to A106. Profit is D2 to D106. And sales is C2 to C106. Okay. Now you see how it helps in the formulas. How it helps in the formula is, now I do not need to go to the table every time. Let's do this question. What is the total sales For product Pentium in April. So again, it will be Sumifs. Now, what is the sum I need? Sales. I will not go to the table and select sales. I will write sales here. You see there's something with a yellow tag coming. That is the named column. The one with yellow tags are the ones you have named. So sales, comma, criteria range 1 is product Pentium. So product, I will write product. Make sure to select the product with a yellow tag and not with the one with the formula. Yellow tag, product, and comma, the condition which is Pentium in quotes. And then the month. So a month, again the one with yellow tag, month, and I write April. And I write April. See, I got the answer without even going to the table back and forth. Again, showing you all sum ifs. First thing is I want is sales, one with yellow tag. Then criteria range 1 is product. Then it is Pentium, which is the criteria. Then it is the month, one with yellow tag. And then it should be April. So it is 2139. So it is so easy. Without even going to the table back and forth, you can just type and get your answers at the same place. Clear? Is this clear? Let's do this big one. Total sales for the product Apple in February with profit 100, greater than 100. So again, Sumifs, sales, product, comma Apple, comma month February, comma profit, and which has to be greater than 100. You see, so easily without taking any time, with easy to write, easy to read, and I just press an enter and I get the answer. Okay. Good going, everyone. Remaining two, I'll just solve it fast so that you all have the answers. Average sales for the month of June. Averageif, sales, month and June. Sorry, Averageif. First, you need to give the month. Then you need to give June. And then you need to give sales. And average sales for the product Ferrari, so Averageifs. Average range is sales, product, Ferrari, month, January. 693 and 677. Just note down these answers and you can do it. Which part to repeat? The rules are on the screen. You all can see. And Mohak, which part to repeat? Please say. Question 4. Total sales of the product Apple in February with profit greater than 100. It is Sumifs. Please follow the arguments. It is very easy. Sum range is from the question, it is saying total sales. So sum range will obviously be sales. Then it is saying the condition is to be product has to be apple. So criteria range 1 is product, criteria 1 is apple. It's saying February. So criteria range 2 has to be month and criteria 2 has to be February. And it is saying profit has to be greater than 100. So for criteria range 3 is to be profit and criteria range 3 is greater than 100. As you read the question, you will find the entire answer. Please copy these rules of naming, then I'll move to the next topic. Okay. Next, wildcard characters. Wildcard characters. Okay. Now, what do I mean by wildcard characters? Suppose I tell you to find the data of words containing, say, find the data of words containing double P. Okay. Find the data of words or find the total sales of the words containing double P. Okay. How do I find this? So you will tell me I can just do Sumifs or Sumifs, anything I'll take, Sumifs. I can take the sum range of total sales and I can give the criteria range of the product to be apple product. And here I can write double P, right? I should get the answer, but I'm getting 0. Why I'm getting 0? I'm not getting double P anywhere. I'm getting total sales to be 0. Why? Because this, when we write this, it means Excel will go and find the exact match. It will find double P in the column. It will not find that it contains double P. It will find double P in all the cells. Okay, it is going to find an exact match, which is not present in the data. Okay. So if I want to find something which is contained, okay, which we want to see which is contained in the words, then you use wildcard characters. Okay, there are 2 wildcard characters in Excel. One is a star and the other is a question mark. Okay, what can star do? It replaces or I would say finds any character or any number of characters. Okay. It can be any series, any character, any number of characters, whereas question mark will replace only one character at a time. Only one character at a time. Okay. So here, if when I write, if I have to find that it contains double P. Okay. By characters, first understand what do I mean by characters. Characters means text, which can be like ABC. Character can mean alphanumeric, which can be ABC 1, 2, 3. Okay. It can be special characters as well. Okay, like and, hash, all these are special characters. All these can be characters or text. Now, if I tell you I have to find the names starting with A. If I tell you I have to find names starting with A. Starting with A. Then what do I write? What is the condition which I will give in Excel? I will give A star. I will give A star. That means that first letter has to be A and after A it can be any number of characters. Okay. First letter has to be And after A, it can be any number of characters. If I have to write ending with A, I will write star A. That means before A, there can be any character, but it should end with A. Okay, it should end with A. And if I write contains A, then I will write star A star. That means at any position, there can be an A in the letter. It can be at the starting, it can be at the end, it can be in between. There has to be a A. Okay, star A star. Is this clear to everyone? So if I go back to this question that find the sales that contains double P, then how will I write? I will write star double P star. Sales product star double P star. So it gives me the sale of all the products which contain double P. Clear? All wildcard characters should also be inside the double quotes. Okay? These are also inside the double quotes. Please do not write them outside the double quotes. Next, if I tell you that I need a password with only 5 characters, or if I tell you find the total sales of products which has 5-letter names, okay, which has 5-letter names, then how will you indicate? If I tell you find the sales or find the profit of only those products which has 5 letters in its name, when we limit the number of characters, exactly Ruchi, correct? When we limit the number of characters, we use question mark because each question mark will replace one character. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will represent 5-letter word. If I look for a 4-letter word, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if I want to say, if I tell you, find the data of a person whose name is starting with S, and the second last character has to be A. Name is starting with S and the second last character has to be A. Then how do you write that? S. Very good, Ruchi. It has to be S star A and question mark. So starting has to be A. In between, it can be anything. A and a question mark means that after A, there can be only any one character. There can be only one character after A. The second last letter has to be a A. Okay. Or if I tell you the third letter of any 5-letter word has to be T. The third letter of a 5-letter word has to be T. Then it will be question mark, T, question mark. Third letter of a 5-letter word has to be T. Yeah, P or T, but I told T, you wrote P, it's okay. Or if I tell you the third letter has to be T without mentioning the number of characters in a set. The third letter has to be T. So you have to write 1, 2, T and a star. The third letter has to be a T. Clear? Is wildcard characters clear to everybody? Okay. Let's do this one question particularly. From this, if I tell you to find the total sales, find the total sales for the sales representative whose names start with J. Find the total sales for the sales representatives whose names start with J. So first thing first, I will name the entire table. What is a shortcut to go to create from selection? What is a shortcut to go to create from selection? Control Shift F3. Control Shift F3. Okay. Control Shift F3. That will go to create from selection. So I selected the entire table. I'll unselect left column and I selected. I got the names. Now I will write Sumif. Sum range has to be sales. And sales representative is the criteria. And it has to start with J. So J star. Okay. J star. So this is the total sales of the sales representatives whose names start with J. Clear, everyone? Is this clear to everybody? Okay, that's it for today then.